Eli Vance wiped his hands on a rag that had seen better days. The engine bay of the small salvage ship smelled of burnt wires, oil, and old metal. Space wasn't kind to human scavengers, and Eli had learned long ago that survival depended on skill, patience, and a stubborn streak the size of Jupiter. The asteroid belt stretched endlessly outside the viewport, a sparkling graveyard of forgotten ships, broken satellites, and drifting debris. Eli's ship, the Iron Wren, bumped over a small rock and shook him from his thoughts. He tapped a few keys, adjusting the grav field stabilizers, and sighed. Another day, another heap of scrap. Nothing new here, he muttered, scanning the readings. Most of the abandoned ships he found were decades old, rusted beyond repair. Some carried alien tech, but it was often too alien, impossible to use without risking death. Eli preferred things that had human fingerprints on them. They were predictable mostly. Then his scanner beeped differently, sharply. Eli leaned closer. The readings didn't match any known ship class. The metal signature was strange, strong, almost alive, not like the brittle scraps he usually found. His heart quickened. He had heard stories of ancient human ships, vessels lost during the wars centuries ago. Legends said some had designs that even the greatest interstellar powers had failed to replicate. Could this be one? He maneuvered the Iron Wren closer to the source. The asteroid it was buried in was rough and cratered, with jagged cliffs of rock. Using a magnetic tether, Eli anchored himself and began the slow process of digging. Hours passed, and the asteroid dust filled his suit's ventilation system, making him sneeze repeatedly. But finally the hull appeared, a sleek dark metal surface with markings faded by time but unmistakably human. Eli crouched down and ran his hand along the metal. It was smooth, cold, and solid. No signs of decay, no cracks. How had it survived all these years? His mind raced with possibilities. "This is it," he whispered. "A real find." Working quickly, he set up power lines and a small interface console. He ran scans. The ship systems were dormant but intact. That was unusual. Most old ships had failing reactors, corroded circuits, or worse, biohazard contamination. But this one, it was as if it was waiting for someone to wake it. Eli knew the risk. Ships this old weren't supposed to be operable. If he made a mistake, the ship could explode, or worse, trigger a security system he couldn't understand. But curiosity had always been stronger than caution. He began the careful work of rebooting the main systems, following instincts honed from years of tinkering with derelicts. The lights on the console flickered once, twice, and then the ship hummed softly, a deep, almost musical resonance that made Eli pause. This was no ordinary vessel. "Wow," he breathed, "you're alive." The ship's AI interface appeared, a holographic projection in front of him. A calm, analytical voice filled the chamber. "Identity confirmation required," it said. Eli raised an eyebrow. The ship was still secure after all this time. He typed in his details and tried to bypass the old protocols as carefully as he could. The AI paused, then accepted the input. "Human. Verified," the AI said. "System activation permitted. Core status optimal. Welcome, Eli Vance." Eli blinked. It knew his name. Somehow, that was impressive. He had expected a dusty, stubborn machine, not a thinking companion. Over the next few days, Eli worked tirelessly. He repaired broken conduits, recalibrated the navigation systems, and replaced worn components with scavenged parts from his own ship. He learned to interface with the AI, which introduced itself as Arcturus. It was more than just a ship computer. It held records, battle simulations, and strategic algorithms from centuries past. "This ship, it's ancient," Eli said aloud one night, staring at the starlit void through the ship's viewport. "How did humans even build something like this?" Arcturus responded in its calm, almost patient tone. The vessel was part of a covert human initiative designed to surpass any known alien technology of its era. Its mission was classified and abandoned. Eli shivered. The human race had once been far more advanced than the galaxy realized. Perhaps that was why humans were now underestimated, ignored, or dismissed. Then came the first real test. Eli powered up the ship's propulsion system, and the engines roared to life with a sound that made his chest vibrate. The forgotten starship, as he had begun to call it, lifted slowly from the asteroid, floating into open space. It moved with grace, almost like it had a mind of its own. But he wasn't alone. Word traveled faster than he expected. Other scavengers, always on the hunt for valuable tech, detected the ship. Small attack drones approached, thinking Eli would be an easy target. Eli's pulse quickened. He gripped the controls. "Not today," he muttered. Using Arcturus's predictive algorithms and his own quick thinking, he dodged and weaved through the asteroid field. The drones crashed into rocks or spun out of control, and Eli realized something important. Humans could improvise in ways AI couldn't fully predict. He laughed despite the danger. The thrill of survival, the rush of discovery, it reminded him why humans endured. No alien race could match that combination of creativity, instinct, and stubbornness. Over the next week, Eli explored the ship. It was enormous inside, with corridors wide enough for small vehicles, and rooms filled with technology beyond current human understanding. He discovered weapons systems that were dormant but functional, shields that could withstand fleet assaults, and an advanced communications array capable of reaching across sectors. And then, in the deepest vault of the ship, he found a sealed chamber. Inside, hundreds of cryogenic pods lined the walls, long forgotten and deactivated. Most were empty, their occupants gone to time itself. But one pod still contained a human, a soldier, perfectly preserved, waiting as if for him. Eli hesitated. Should he open it? Some instincts screamed caution, others screamed curiosity. Finally, he activated the pod. The chamber hissed as frozen gas vented, and slowly the human awoke. "Where am I?" the soldier asked weakly. His voice was rough, echoing centuries of battle experience. Eli smiled faintly. "You're safe. I'm Eli. Welcome back to the galaxy." The soldier's eyes widened as he took in the ship, the technology, and the young human who had revived him. This ship, it shouldn't exist anymore. How? Eli shrugged, a grin spreading across his face. Humans are good at surprising the universe. In the quiet moments that followed, Eli realized something profound. He wasn't just a mechanic. He wasn't just a scavenger. He had uncovered a weapon, a legend, a turning point for humanity. The galaxy had ignored humans for too long. Now, with the forgotten starship alive again, that might finally change. He didn't know how alien empires would react, or whether they would try to destroy him. But he did know one thing. Humanity, against all odds, had the edge no one expected. And with ingenuity, courage, and a bit of stubbornness, Eli Vance intended to prove it. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, full of danger, mystery, and possibility. And for the first time, Eli felt ready to face them, not as a lone scavenger, but as the pilot of a legend reborn. The forgotten starship floated silently in the asteroid belt, its hull gleaming under the distant stars. Eli Vance had spent days learning the ship's systems, and every hour revealed something new. The AI, Arcturus, was unlike anything Eli had ever encountered, a repository of human history, tactics, and technology that seemed almost alive. Yet with every discovery came a growing realization. The galaxy was about to notice him. It began with small signals, strange readings on the long-range scanner, fleets from distant empires moving closer than expected. Eli frowned. Most humans had avoided attention for centuries. He had hoped his salvage operation would remain unnoticed. But the moment a human piloted the forgotten starship, legends of the ancient human fleets began to resurface. "Eli," Arcturus said, its voice calm but firm. We are being scanned by multiple fleets. Unknown hostile signatures detected. Estimated response time, 30 minutes. Eli's stomach tightened. 30 minutes wasn't much. He had hoped for at least a few weeks to explore the ship in peace. How many fleets? He asked. 3 major empires. Each fleet contains multiple warships capable of destroying this vessel individually. Eli took a deep breath. He glanced at the holographic map, displaying hundreds of blinking red dots converging on his position. Most humans would panic. But his kind thrived under pressure. Arcturus, he said, let's show them why humans shouldn't be underestimated. Learning to work together, Eli spent the next hours testing the ship's advanced systems, with Arcturus guiding him through battle simulations. Unlike typical AI, Arcturus didn't simply give orders. It challenged Eli, asking him to predict outcomes, suggest maneuvers, and think creatively. You humans, Arcturus said during one test, are surprisingly unpredictable. I may have algorithms for strategy, but you make choices no simulation can anticipate. Eli smirked. That's the point. He began experimenting with the ship's weapon systems, learning how to use energy shields, adaptive armor, and cloaking technology. The forgotten starship could move faster than anything in the sector, and its systems could reroute energy to any subsystem almost instantly. But more than that, it responded to human intuition. Arcturus could plan, but Eli could improvise, and together, they became a unit neither fully AI nor fully human. First contact, the first fleet, arrived sooner than expected. Eli watched through the viewport as alien ships, sleek and menacing, formed a blockade around the asteroid belt. Their weapons glimmered in the dark, scanning for any signs of movement. They think they can intimidate us, Eli muttered. Let's see how that works out. Arcturus analyzed the enemy patterns and provided suggestions. But instead of following them blindly, Eli improvised. Using the asteroid field as cover, he guided the forgotten starship through tight spaces where the larger alien vessels couldn't follow. Laser fire flashed through the belt. Aliens tried to track the ship, but Eli's unpredictable maneuvers and the ship's adaptive shields kept him safe. He laughed aloud as a beam glanced off the hull, harmless. "You're going to have to do better than that," he shouted. Hours passed, and the alien fleet realized they were chasing shadows. Eli and Arcturus conducted hit-and-run attacks, disabling smaller ships and leaving confusion in their wake. The humans inside the fleet's command centers could hardly believe their eyes. A single human ship, long thought extinct, was outsmarting entire squadrons. The power of human creativity after the skirmish, Eli and Arcturus reflected on what had happened. "You survived because you don't follow predictable patterns," Arcturus said. "Your actions contradict all logical strategies. I can analyze, but I cannot anticipate fully." "That's humans," Eli said simply. "We don't just follow the rules, we make them as we go." The AI seemed to consider this. Perhaps that is the advantage humans always had, even when they were underestimated. Eli nodded. That thought gave him hope. For centuries, humans had been overlooked by powerful alien empires, dismissed as minor players in galactic politics. But with creativity, adaptability, and courage, they could achieve the impossible. The race to discover the past, Eli realized that the forgotten starship wasn't just a tool of combat. It was a repository of human history and technology. Hidden in the ship's archives were designs for weapons, propulsion systems, and defense mechanisms far beyond current understanding. Determined to unlock its secrets, Eli spent days exploring the archives, piecing together old human blueprints. He discovered tactics for fleet coordination, energy-based weaponry, and even interstellar communication methods that could bypass alien jamming. Every discovery reminded him that humans had once been a dominant force, and perhaps they could be again. The ship also revealed logs of previous human commanders. Some were tactical geniuses, others ruthless strategists. Eli studied their approaches but always added his own flair. Unlike the recorded commanders, he didn't have centuries of experience. He had intuition, courage, and adaptability, qualities that Arcturus acknowledged were invaluable. A new alliance, not all attention was hostile. Some alien observers, intrigued by the revival of the forgotten starship, approached cautiously. Eli made careful contact with a neutral species known for intelligence gathering. Through Arcturus, he demonstrated that human ingenuity could be a force for balance, not just destruction. "We don't want war," Eli said during the communication. "We just want to exist, and to show that humans can do things no one else can." The alien representatives were skeptical but curious. The fact that a single human could revive such a vessel, outsmart fleets, and navigate unknown systems made them rethink what they thought they knew about humanity. Rising stakes. However, not all forces were interested in negotiation. Reports came in that rival empires were preparing massive fleets to capture or destroy the ship. Eli realized he had entered a game far bigger than himself. This wasn't just about survival, it was about humanity's position in the galaxy. Arcturus prepared simulations for the incoming battle. "We are outnumbered. Success depends on strategy, speed, and your intuition." Eli clenched his fists. "Then let's make sure they never see it coming." Testing limits in preparation, Eli ran the forgotten starship through intense drills. He learned how to use asteroid fields as natural shields, redirect energy between weapons, shields, and engines in real time, confuse enemy sensors by rapid, unpredictable movement, employ non-lethal tactics to disable ships when necessary. Through these exercises, Eli discovered something remarkable. While Arcturus could calculate probabilities and outcomes, it relied on Eli's human intuition to make split-second decisions. The ship was most powerful when man and machine worked together, a perfect combination of strategy and creativity. Humanity's potential revealed. The final scene of Part 2 sets the stage for a galactic confrontation. Eli watches the approaching fleets on the ship's viewport, the stars reflecting in his eyes. He is no longer just a mechanic or a scavenger. He is a pilot of a legendary vessel, a symbol of human ingenuity. Arcturus speaks almost reverently. "The galaxy underestimates humans, but you, Eli, demonstrate their potential. Your decisions may determine the outcome of conflicts across multiple sectors." Eli smiles. "Then it's time they learn not to underestimate us." As the alien fleets draw closer, the forgotten starship hums to life, ready to face challenges far beyond any single human or machine's capability. Together, Eli and Arcturus prepare for what could become the greatest demonstration of human skill, courage, and creativity the galaxy has ever seen. The stars ahead are full of danger, but also possibility. And for the first time in centuries, humanity is poised to reclaim its place among the stars. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, but Eli Vance's focus was entirely on the glowing red blips of approaching alien fleets. Three major empires, each assuming they would easily capture or destroy a single human ship, were converging on his location. They did not yet know that the human they underestimated was not ordinary. Eli wasn't just a pilot, he was the human edge the galaxy had forgotten. Arcturus's calm voice filled the bridge. "All enemy fleets are within 10,000 kilometers. They are initiating formation for attack. Probability of successful interception without engagement, 0." Eli grinned, tightening his grip on the control yoke. "Then we won't intercept, we'll outsmart them." The first wave, as the first fleet came into visual range, their ships spread across a massive area, energy beams flashing and sensors scanning for movement. Most human pilots would panic. Most humans wouldn't survive. But Eli had spent weeks learning the forgotten starship inside and out. Every thruster, every shield matrix, every weapon system responded instantly to his commands. Using the asteroid field as natural cover, Eli maneuvered the ship in ways no alien fleet could anticipate. The larger ship struggled to follow through narrow canyons and rocky clusters. Smaller enemy fighters tried to flank him, only to find themselves trapped by gravitational anomalies Eli manipulated with the ship's engines. "Too slow," he shouted, laughing. "Try again." Arcturus calculated trajectories, firing automated countermeasures while Eli executed maneuvers that no AI could have predicted. The human unpredictability gave them the edge. By the time the first wave realized what was happening, their fleet was in chaos. Some ships collided with asteroids, others were forced into defensive postures, and a few even turned on each other in confusion. Eli's laughter echoed across the bridge. The humans of the past would have called it cunning. Eli simply called it instinct, the surprise tactic. After the initial skirmish, Eli realized that to survive the full confrontation, he needed something more than speed and stealth. He needed deception and surprise. He began a series of maneuvers that would confuse the enemy sensors. Using the ship's advanced cloaking array, he created multiple false images of the forgotten starship, making it appear as if dozens of human vessels were attacking at once. Enemy fleets fired at phantoms, wasting energy and exposing weak points. Eli chuckled, tapping the console. "Arcturus, let's give them a lesson in human creativity." The AI's tone was almost amused. "I have calculated multiple outcomes, but none account fully for your improvisation." Eli leaned back, relaxed for the first time since the fleets arrived. Humans thrived in chaos, in situations that no one could fully control. This battle, as terrifying as it was, felt like home. Human ingenuity against alien technology hours passed. The fleets adapted, realizing the ship's tactics were clever but dangerous. They began coordinated attacks, attempting to outflank the forgotten starship and trap Eli. But the ship itself was designed for adaptability. Energy shields reallocated power in milliseconds, weapons locked onto moving targets with precision, and engines shifted gravity vectors to change course in impossible ways. Even so, Eli's greatest weapon wasn't the ship, it was his mind. He predicted enemy responses, tested their reactions, and altered tactics in ways the aliens couldn't anticipate. For the first time, the Empires realized that the human piloting the ship wasn't just skilled. He was inventive, daring, and impossible to predict. At one point, an enemy battleship attempted a direct assault. Eli piloted the ship toward the approaching vessel, then executed a sudden gravitational slingshot around a nearby asteroid, sending the enemy spinning harmlessly into space. Arcturus's voice was calm but impressed. "Your decisions are unorthodox but effective. I calculate a 57% increase in survival probability due to your actions." Eli smiled. "And humans say numbers can't capture creativity." The turning point. As the battle continued, Eli noticed that the alien commanders were becoming desperate. Their strategies were rigid, predictable, and overconfident. They hadn't faced an opponent who could adapt in real time, combining instinct with advanced technology. Eli decided it was time to take the initiative. He plotted a daring course through the densest part of the asteroid belt, a region no fleet would dare enter because of extreme gravitational hazards. "This is it, Arcturus," he said. "Time to show them why humans survive against impossible odds." The AI responded with simulations, but Eli ignored most of them. He relied on intuition. With a deep breath, he accelerated, weaving through narrow corridors and jagged rocks. Enemy ships hesitated, unsure how to follow. Their inability to adapt made them easy targets. One by one, they were disabled or forced to retreat. The forgotten starship emerged from the belt, undamaged, with enemy fleets scattered and disorganized. Eli looked at the viewport, heart pounding with adrenaline. "We did it," he said quietly. "We actually did it. Humanity proves its worth." After the battle, Eli sent a signal to the nearest neutral colonies, announcing humanity's presence and warning empires to reconsider underestimating humans. The message was simple: humans survive, humans adapt, humans are not to be ignored. For centuries, humanity had been underestimated, dismissed as insignificant. But now, a single human and an ancient starship had outmaneuvered entire fleets, proving that ingenuity, courage, and unpredictability were as formidable as the most advanced alien technology. Eli spent the next days repairing the ship, analyzing the battle, and preparing for the inevitable response. Alien empires would not forget this lesson easily. But for the first time, humanity had a seat at the table, and Eli realized that the galaxy was no longer theirs to fear. It was theirs to explore, adapt to, and influence. Arcturus spoke, almost reverently. The galaxy has underestimated humans for too long. Your actions demonstrate potential that rivals entire fleets. Eli smiled, eyes fixed on the distant stars. They'll learn soon enough. Humans always find a way. The legacy of the forgotten starship. As Eli prepared to jump to hyperspace, he reflected on the journey that brought him here. He had begun as a mechanic, a scavenger of forgotten relics. Yet, through courage, ingenuity, and perseverance, he had revived a legend and altered the course of galactic events. The forgotten starship wasn't just a weapon, it was a testament to human potential. Every system, every protocol, every innovation was proof that humans could survive, thrive, and excel where others failed. Eli's thoughts turned to the future. There were more unexplored sectors, more ancient technology, and more mysteries waiting. With Arcturus at his side, he knew that humans could face any challenge. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, full of danger, but also of possibility. And for the first time in centuries, humanity had a chance to claim its rightful place among the stars. Eli grinned, pressing the final coordinates into the navigation system. "Let's see what else the galaxy has for us," he said. And with that, the forgotten starship surged forward, faster than ever, carrying a human heart and mind ready to face the universe.